Morning, Larry and Joe.
Oh, hello. Whoever is it did that video, you may want to optimize for sound because we can't hear anything on this end.
I think, Belle, you need to share also the sound. Stop sharing, then share again.
There you go.
Not able to hear the sounds. Sorry.
There we go.
There is abundance in a universe. We all have the ability to tap into our deepest dreams. You can learn and grow at your own speed and build a business based on your own needs. Well, I bet you didn't know you could make money from your home and take control of your security. Yeah, I bet you didn't know that you could make it on your own and take good care of your family. Why do we wait until tomorrow when we could do it today? Step out of your comfort zone and take a leap of faith. You can learn and grow at your own speed and build a business based on your own needs. Well, I bet you didn't know you could make money from your home and take control of your security. Yeah, I bet you didn't know that you could make it on your own and take good care of your family. Bedrock bookkeepers rocket from their home. Bedrock bookkeepers make it on their own. Bedrock bookkeepers live it in the zone. Well, I bet you didn't know you could make money from your home and take control of your security. Yeah, I bet you didn't know that you could make it on your own and take good care of your family. Well, I bet you didn't know you could make money from your home and take control of your security. I bet you didn't know that you could make it on your own and take good care of your family. Well, I bet you
Hi everyone. Good morning and good evening to Joe. Good afternoon to Larry. So I hope that everyone is having a wonderful start of their weekend. Ayan. So how are you doing today, guys? Can you drop in the comment or in our chat box how you're feeling today? Ayan. Just describe it in one word. Are you feeling excited? Are you feeling happy, productive, awesome, fulfilled for this week? Ayan. So personally me, I feel productive for the entire week because we're busy in preparing for the grand launch of the Jumpstart community. Ayan. So we have blessed, fantastic, blessed and fulfilled, productive. So motivated, sabi ni Joe, blessed. Ayan. So I love all your responses. Ayan. So before we start any further, so let's always start this with a word of prayer. Can I invite everyone to bow down their heads and let's pray? Let's pray. Lord, thank you, Father, for yet another workshop here in the Jumpstart community. Father God, thank you for the gift of community, gift of networking, and Lord, just the joy to be part of something, Lord, that helps us, Lord, grow in our career, Father God. And Lord, we just want to lift up to you, Lord, every part of this workshop, Lord. Thank you, Father, that marami po kaming mali-learn today, Father, and not only that we're gonna learn it, but i-apply namin po to, Lord, sa personal lives namin, Lord, and even sa careers namin, Father God, Lord, as freelancers and remote workers. So we bless you today, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
And
Ayan. So once again, guys, good morning. And before we proceed to our webinar or for our workshop for today, which is entitled How to Implement Effective SOPs for Business Excellence, let's have a quick recap for our last workshop. So may I see the hands of those who were here last Saturday? Can you raise your virtual hands? Ayan. Let's see. Ayan si Vivian. How about the others? Okay, so can you give yourself a tap and say, good job for being consistent? Ayan, sometimes, we forgot that consistency is the key. So if you are being consistent, then congratulate yourself. Ayan. And of course, I believe that we also have people who are rewatching at the time that they're available because they're working during the time that we have our workshop. So kudos to you guys as well. So I love every workshop that we have here in Jumpstart community. Do you have the same feeling as I have? And so we have great workshops every Saturday morning. And what we discussed last Saturday is with Coach Ariel, Mr. Significant Tolentino. He talked about the hero within you and how to better lead in the 21st century. And just to have a quick recap, he dived on to one of the most attractive qualities of being a leader, or an attribute of being a leader. Can someone drop it in the comment or in the chat box? What was that attribute that we talked about last Saturday? Ayan, Elsie got it right. Vivian got it right. Confidence. Ayan. So if you have any takeaway for last Saturday's workshop, can you drop it in our chat box? And in the meantime, while you're dropping your takeaway in our chat box, I also wanted to share some of my takeaways. So actually, ang daming sinay talaga ni Coach Ariel doon, but really one thing that really stuck me the most is, one thing to become a successful entrepreneur is having a confidence. And Coach Ariel said that confidence is doing everything with faith, and applying faith in everything that you do. So that is what he described as confidence. And he also said that it's important to have confidence as a leader because number one, it is the number one reason of success. And then people feel safe around confident leaders. Do you agree? Like you want to follow people who are confident and who are convinced with what they're doing. And next, he also said that people want to talk to people who know about what they're talking about and tell them what to do. And then confidence also transmits success. It signifies a winner. And he also mentioned about how to build self-confidence. Ayan. So there are, I think, 4 points. Number one is ACT. So it's an acronym. A stands for apply, and then C stands for change, and T stands for teach. So I love what Coach Ariel said that when he said, give what you need. Ayan, give what you need. So if you need training, then give training. Even if sometimes you don't feel like you are the most credible person, but since you need training, you also have to give training. Ayan. And then to develop skills. So repetition is the mother of skill. And Aristotle said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. Ayan. Become an excellent person in whatever that you do. And then he also said, you are the average of the 5 person you always hang out with. So it's important that you surround yourself with the right person because who you surround with, you become that person. Ayan. And then number 3, show results. Results create respect. Do you agree with me that the more that you show results, the more people will respect you, the more that you will earn the respect of the people around you. And lastly, he said, do the things and you will have the power. Ayan. And Vivian also said your background, education, experience, and upbringing has nothing to do with becoming a 21st century leader. Yes, I agree. No matter what is your background, no matter what is your educational background and experience, no matter what your upbringing is, you have the ability to become a 21st century leader. Ayan. So I believe that all of us were truly blessed and I really learned a lot from that workshop last Saturday. But of course, we have to move on because we have another workshop today in which we're gonna talk about how to implement, strong SOPs or effective SOPs or standard operation procedure for business excellence. So if you're that person that's looking forward to this workshop, can you type in our chat box SOP? Ayan. So who among you here wants to have a solid SOP whenever you will have your own business already? Ayan. So make sure, guys, that you have your sticky notes, you have your notebook and your pen because history makers are note takers and our brain can only handle so much. So that is why you need your pen and paper with you. Ayan. And of course, for our speaker for this morning, I believe that all of us here are already know him. But just for those of you who are new in this community, it's my honor and privilege to introduce to you Larry Broughton. So he is a serial entrepreneur, an award-winning CEO. He's a best-selling author and the go-to expert on leadership and business topics for most major media outlets in the United States. And he has also mentored hundreds of business owners, helping them to grow and scale their own businesses. And again, we're so excited and we are privileged. It's an honor to have him in the upcoming grand launch of the Jumpstart community. So make sure that you buy your tickets already as early as now because he will be coming here in the Philippines this May to be with us. So please help me welcome with a big and warm round of applause, Larry Broughton.
Hello, Belle. How are you? It's great.
Doing great. Forward to
Good.
this
You
workshop.
are so good at this. Thank you for hosting this darn thing, Joe. It's good to see you. Hey, everyone. If you have not signed up for this grand launch that's going to be happening in about 4 weeks from now, I think you're going to be missing out on something very powerful. It's going to be a lot of fun and we're going to learn a lot. We're going to build relationships with each other. We're going to help each other grow our businesses. and expand your influence, it's going to be a really, really powerful event. My sense, Belle and Luz and Janine and Joe and the rest of the team, Marianne, it's great to see you as well, Coach Yan. The event back in October was powerful, right? I mean, that was moving to be there and to see people's lives kind of change, not just from the business perspective, right? They built relationships and you could see people being transformed there. This next one that's going to be in May in about 4 weeks is going to be very powerful. So I encourage you folks to be there. And please come up and introduce yourselves. I mean, I'm not going to get on a plane for how many hours flight is it, Joe? I want to be on a plane for 13 hours and not meet you. Come up and introduce yourselves, please, 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 please. Belle, I liked how you spoke earlier about consistency, right? Consistency moves the needle in our lives. Too many of us think, oh, I've got to have this one big, huge change in my life if I want to have enduring success, or if I want to change the way I communicate with my loved ones. All the studies have shown that it's consistency, those small changes that we make every day that we focus on regularly. I forget who first wrote a book about this, but what they talked about is focusing on getting 1% better every day. Not 15% better, not 50% better. I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to start doing that. Just 1% better every day. Darren Hardy talks about this in The Compound Effect, which is a very powerful book. Darren Hardy was the former publisher of Success Magazine. Those 1% improvements every day end up being huge for us. And yes, you're right, Belle. I'm going to be talking about standard operating procedures today. I know a lot of you think that's a snooze fest. I can just go to sleep now. It's not very exciting. Well, you may not feel that it's very exciting until you realize that the real value in your business that you may be trying to build, your freelancing or your remote work, the real value comes from the standard operating procedures, the operations that you have in your life, in your business. So if you're trying to start a freelance accounting business, you're not going to be able to scale it without standard operating procedures, okay? If you want to be a remote worker and you want to work for an American or a US-based company, your ability to help them implement standard operating procedures is going to bring value to them, which is going to get them excited about you. That's very powerful as well, okay? So I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to go through a quick little teaching. And stand by, please, because I have a gift I want to give you later on as well, okay? So don't run away because I think you're going to really like this free gift. If you are interested in growing your business, if you are interested in serving the clients that you have, you're going to want to stand by. And again, I'm always excited. Thank you. Some of you, I mean, I recognize your names. I recognize your faces here. Some of you have kind of reached out to me already on social media. Feel free to do that. It's just at Larry Broughton on all other platforms. If you want to go to my link tree, there's a QR code and you're welcome to join me there. Or you can go to larrybroughton.com. That's another way to reach out. But as Belle had mentioned, I want to talk to you today about how to implement effective SOPs for your business. So, it's going to be not a really long presentation, but what I want to do is explore with you how you as a bookkeeping and accounting freelancer can leverage standard operating procedures to enhance your efficiency, scale your operations, and achieve much higher levels of professional success than you might have recognized so far. Now, in order to achieve more efficiency, in order to achieve greater success, it's pretty likely you'll need to do some things differently than the way you're currently doing them. So what does that mean? It's change. You're going to have to change some things, okay? And what we've realized, for those who joined us in one of my previous workshops that I presented here, this slide may look familiar to you, because what I spoke about is that change can be scary, because change means that there's some unknowns. Change means that we're going to make some mistakes. And you're going to make those mistakes simply because you're going to try some things that are new. The good news is that that's okay. It's fine to make mistakes. It's how do we respond to those? In fact, making mistakes is a good thing, right? Because that's where innovation comes from. And again, just these next couple of slides are a repeat, a reminder of this. So what's the answer? Well, you're the answer. You can't blame someone else if you make a mistake. Okay, just accept, hey, I made a mistake. I'm going to learn from it, and you move on. Okay. And I'm going to remind you of two quotes here that I shared last time, and then we're going to jump into the new teaching. This is from Winston Churchill, the former Prime Minister of England, right? And he said that we must take change by the hand, or rest assuredly, change will take us by the throat. I can't imagine anyone that's on this call right now, or anyone who's jumped on the Jumpstart community who wants to be part of this, and that you commit every Saturday you're going to be on these workshops. I can't imagine that you're okay with things just being the same a year from now in your life as they are today. I'd imagine you want growth in your life, right? You want financial freedom in the future that you're not experiencing today. You want to be a better professional in the future than you are today. Maybe you want to be a better significant other, husband, wife, son, daughter, parent than you are. Well, that's the great thing about joining communities like this, is that we look at the whole health. You notice that we start this thing with a prayer that we become better people, not just better bookkeepers, not just better, accountants, right? So that takes change though, okay? And then there's this, and then we're going to move on. Change happens when the cost of the status quo is greater than the risk of change. Okay? You can take a screenshot of that if you want, but we're going to keep moving on. All right. So what the heck, Larry, are SOPs? You heard me refer to it, right? And those are standard operating procedures, right? SOPs are like, I think in its simplest form, we can think of them as a recipe of how to get things done in our businesses. They're step-by-step instructions compiled by you or by an organization to help you or your workers carry out routine operations. For freelancers, like a lot of us, SOPs are about creating predictable and repeatable processes to ensure accuracy, to ensure consistency, and improve efficiencies. Ensure, I don't remember what I said here, ensure accuracy, ensure consistency, yes, and improve efficiency in our services, right? This is that consistency part. Accuracy, consistency, and efficiency, okay? Efficiency and consistency are absolutely vital. It's critical in the accounting and bookkeeping arena, isn't it? Right? With SOPs, we can standardize our procedures. Like, what are some things we could standardize? Monthly reconciliations, we could standardize those, right? Client onboarding, financial reporting. Imagine if you did these things differently every single time. Every month you did a different, I'm going to close the books out differently this month than I did last time. I'm going to do my bank reconciliations differently this month than I did last time. Can you see how inefficient that becomes? Right? So if we were to develop detailed checklists for monthly bookkeeping tasks, we can ensure that nothing gets overlooked. And this reduces error, and it saves valuable time, and it increases trust among our clients, right? So I want to share with you just really quickly a super quick story about a former client, Jane. Just by implementing some of these standard operating procedures that we can talk about today, she streamlined her workflows, which allowed her to handle double the number of clients compared to before, and she didn't even have to hire someone new. She doubled her number of clients because she became more efficient. And the great thing is this: it not only increased her financial earnings, but it improved her work-life balance so that she could finish work earlier and spend more time with her family. How awesome would that be? Double your client load, work fewer hours, have more family time. That's a winning combination in my book, right? Okay. So as we grow, you can take on more clients or responsibilities, right? And so this is when standard operating procedures become even more vital, because you're having more of an impact on more people, right? You're expanding your influence. And SOPs allow you to delegate tasks without compromising quality. That's the struggle a lot of us have. We think, well, gosh, if I take on more things, I'm not going to be as good as the few tasks I've got. But when you standardize things, you can do more with higher qualities, right? So if you decide to hire an assistant or a junior accountant, having standard operating procedures in place means that they can then more quickly learn and perform tasks according to these established standards, ensuring that there's a seamless transition and consistent client experience. This is why, imagine like when you buy a new piece of equipment, what's usually in the box when you buy this new piece of equipment? An operating manual, a recipe of how to do it, right? So there you go. That makes sense for you? All right. So the next thing is this. I want you to consider Novati, which is a small firm that expanded really super rapidly. These guys were based in the UK, and they have a big office here now in the US. But by having clear standard operating procedures, they could quickly onboard new staff, while at the same time maintain quality and service standards during their growth phase. How many of you have worked for a company that grew really quickly? If you have, you probably recognize, boy, it can be chaotic during this growth phase, right? But because they did who's the author that talked about begin with the end in mind? They knew that they were going to grow, so they developed the standard operating procedures right away so that they could take on more clients more efficiently. So by doing that, they not only helped these SOPs not only help scale their operation, but it also helped them maintain client satisfaction and trust during these big growth phases, right? So you know what happens when you're in a business, in an organization that's very chaotic? Who gets frustrated most during those phases? The team members do, right? But don't the clients get frustrated as well? When you say, hey, we're going to have payroll completed on this date, or we're going to have your bookkeeping done by that date, or we're going to have your profit and loss statement finalized by this date, and you keep missing those dates. Or let's say that, Teresa, you're working on an accounting thing, and they keep finding errors, and not you, Teresa, somebody else, there's constantly errors in their work. That really has a negative impact from the client, right? Well, what Novati did is they had these standard operating procedures in place, and they were so strong that they went on to win several awards for their growth, while at the same time maintaining these stellar client satisfaction ratings with a really low turnover rate among their team members and their employees. That's a great combination. So what this also does, it means that trust and satisfaction are enhanced, because those are things that are key to client retention. If you want to maintain clients, you want to grow your client base, there has to be a high level of trust and a high level of satisfaction. Those are key. So if you're out there trying to build your own freelance bookkeeping or freelance accounting or freelance payroll service business, then you need to make sure that you have trust and satisfaction. Wouldn't it be great if every client that you signed up or brought on board, they stayed with you for as long as you wanted? They were so happy with the work that you performed, they wanted to stay with you forever. But generally that doesn't happen. Oftentimes clients come on board and they drop off because for some reason we're not meeting their needs. There's been a trust deficit or a satisfaction deficit. Well, SOPs help ensure that every client interaction is handled the same way. And it helps provide consistent and professional experience standards, all right? For example, having standard procedures for handling client questions and concerns it does ensure timely and accurate responses. Okay, does that make sense? We're going to do a Q&A at the end, so if you have any questions, we can dive in there, okay? So Sarah is another freelancer. She specialized in marketing, and she introduced standard operating procedures for client communications. And when she did this, she saw her client retention rates soar. Instead of just her saying, okay, I'm going to do your Facebook ads, I'm going to do your LinkedIn ads, I'm going to do your social media. And she didn't just do that. She proactively gave monthly reports. And every client got the same report. I mean, the data was different, but she knew that every one of her clients was going to get market penetration. They were going to get RevPAR indexes, right? They're going to get the ROI on their marketing efforts. They're going to talk about engagement, right? So these regular follow-ups and standardized updates on her accounts helped her clients feel like they were more informed. The clients felt more valued, which not only retained existing clients, but it also attracted new referrals from her clients. Those are the most powerful referrals you can get when you've got one client who tells his or her friends, oh my gosh, I love my bookkeeper or I love my accountant so much, you should start using them. How awesome would that be in your life, right? And here's the thing I think that is particularly important for the industry that we're in this payroll, bookkeeping, and accounting space, you know, and tax preparation. And this arena, we have significant compliance and accuracy challenges, right? Compliance standards, we have to make sure that we're maintaining these compliance standards, right? With governmental reporting, the tax reporting agencies, all that, right? So our SOPs ensure that we remain compliant with financial regulations by standardizing how these updates are integrated into our work processes. So regular reviews of our standard operating procedures can highlight any changes that pop up in tax laws or financial regulations that need to be incorporated into our business. Okay? Compliance, super important. So I want you to meet Bob. Bob once faced these serious compliance issues that led to financial penalties. Have you folks ever worked for someone, or maybe you have personally had been fined or faced financial penalties because you didn't meet certain compliance thresholds? Those can close a business in most parts of the world. If you aren't filing proper financial statements or tax returns or whatever it is, I mean, there's all kinds of compliance issues, right? Well, with the help of Bob's bookkeepers and accountants, after they implemented these really rigorous standard operating procedures and ensured that they were regularly updating the standard operating procedures and meeting the compliance codes, he not only resolved these compliance issues, but he also passed subsequent audits with flying colors. You guys probably know this, that with state and federal tax organizations, like here in the US, the United States, it's the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service. If you aren't compliant one year, you're much more likely to be audited in future years. Because why? Because the governmental agency doesn't trust you anymore, right? And so once you get through subsequent audits with flying colors, then you're off their bad boy list, okay? And so getting off that bad boy list and then having these new standard operating procedures allowed Bob to rebuild client trust, and it ultimately saved its business. So I imagine that most of you now agree and you even understand the importance of developing standard operating procedures to more effectively run and grow your business, right? And to more effectively attract and retain clients. Without clients, our businesses die, right? And you're probably asking yourself, okay, Larry, how the heck do I do that? I understand the importance of standard operating procedures now, right? How the heck do I do it? Well, what I want to do is I want to give you a free gift. We all like free gifts, right? So here's what I want to give you. All right. I'm going to give you a video, a how-to actually craft what's called the SOP, or standard operating procedure architecture. Okay. I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to actually give you some, a couple of samples of how these things actually look. All right. So it's with my business partner, Dave, and I. We just talk you through how to do this, and you just follow the instructions on how to develop a standard operating procedure. We've got clients, or I've got clients who have everything from dog boarding facilities to bakeries, to Joe with his bookkeeping and accounting company, to gift companies, you name it, we've done them, right? Now, sometimes what you can do is simple as you can take out a video camera and record how you're currently doing something, right? Anything. You can use Loom. There's a lot of ways to do this, but I want to give this to you for free. This is generally reserved just for our one-on-one coaching clients. All right. All you need to do is just email me, and you don't even need to write anything. All you need to do is email me at larry@larrybroughton.com. And in the subject line, just put SOP free gift. You can take a screenshot of this if you want, take a picture of it, whatever you want to do. You don't even need to write anything in the body of the email. Just write SOP free gift in the subject line, and I'll send these to you. Okay. There'll be a link to a Google Drive that'll have the video and let's see if I can get back to that slide. So it'll be this video, and have a couple of samples in there, and I'll have this SOP architecture. It won't be all wrapped pretty like this box. Forgive me for that. It's free, okay? Just accept it, all right? So as I wrap up here, and we're going to do a Q&A if anyone has any questions. These SOPs are not just about maintaining quality and efficiency. They're about building a foundation for sustainable business growth for you. Isn't that what you really want? Isn't that why we're part of this Jumpstart community? Do we want to bring more value to our remote employer? We want to bring more value to this freelance business that we're building? Well, listen, you can't do that if we don't build a foundation. SOPs are the foundation on which you're going to grow your business. So what I want you to do for homework is I want to encourage each of you to identify just one process that you can document this week as your first standard operating procedure. Just pick one easy one, and you'll see how to do this. I just want to remind you that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And for us, that single step is doing your first standard operating procedure. Okay? So don't be fooled. Don't be seduced that this is just one standard operating procedure. It's so easy that I'm just going to blow it off. It's easy to get seduced by that. Okay? What I want you to do is look at every business that has grown has a standard operating procedure. So I was blessed when I was in Manila, what was it, back in October, I guess. Joe and Coach Yan and I went to dinner, and I could tell by the restaurant that we were in that they had standard operating procedures, right? Every wait person walked up to the table and did and said basically the same thing every single time. Once they took the order, they knew that once they took the order, that check was going to go and it was going to be delivered somewhere. They had standard operating procedures on how to actually get food out to the table. When you go to any restaurant, I mean, what's the biggest restaurant in the world? Do you guys know? Can you take a guess what the biggest restaurant chain in the world is? You can put it in the chat if you want. 5, 4, oh, somebody's writing stuff in here. What do we have? Anybody know? McDonald's. Yes, Joe. Yes. Jesse. McDonald's. Yes. Bell. McDonald's. Yes. You could go to any McDonald's around the world. If you've worked at one McDonald's, you can go work at any McDonald's. Why? Because they have standard operating procedures. These are $1 million a year restaurants that are being run by people, oftentimes young people, who don't have lots of education. They haven't gone to school to be a restaurant operator. They know that it's cookie cutter. They can go do it anywhere, right? So this is what you have to do with your business. We set up standard operating procedures. Don't be fooled that we're going to do one SOP and it's not that valuable. Imagine McDonald's if it did not have a standard operating procedure. Or a retail store. If they didn't know that when all these dresses come in or all these handbags come in, they didn't know, well, gosh, maybe we'll put price tags on these today, but we won't put price tags on them next week. What kind of a business would that be, right? Okay, so that's it. If anyone's got any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And by the way, Joe, maybe you can chime in. You've implemented standard operating procedures, right? Not as easy as, but for onboarding new clients. So if anyone's got questions or comments, I'm here to help. And by the way, please join us in 4 weeks at the grand launch of Jumpstart. Okay. You have to be there. You have to be there. It's going to be very powerful and a lot of fun. Okay, Belle.
Thank you,
Or Joe.
Larry.
You're
Ayan.
welcome.
And yes, Joe, is Joe here?
He's
Yeah,
there.
I'm here, and
Yeah.
I just want to. I have a lot of notes here, Larry. Thank you, thanks again. But
Sure.
the last thing that you said, and
What's that?
then about McDonald's.
Oh, yes, yes, yes,
Uh,
yes.
So I could just tell you from my personal experience,
Hmm?
McDonald's was one of my first jobs
Mine too.
when I went to college, and the first thing they did was they brought me down into the basement, and remember the VCRs?
Yeah, when I did it, yes. So I did it in high
Yeah,
school, and they had VCRs or beta. I had both. You could pick.
yeah.
But yeah, you had to watch
So
training videos.
those were like before most of these people were born, probably.
Right, right.
But they had my first real job, and I'm like, they bring me down to watch two videos:
Hmm.
how to flip a burger and how to make fries.
Yeah.
And I was down and I said, this is the greatest job in the world. They're just showing me videos. What is it? And then
Mhm.
it wasn't until a long time later that that's the standard operating procedure.
That's a standard operating procedure. So we had Dave and I had a client, and he's still a client, but he had a pet boarding facility, a dog boarding facility on the East Coast of the United States. Dave and I are here on the West Coast. And we all think differently, right? Some things come easier to some of us than to others. And we kept talking about developing standard operating procedures because he wanted to sell his business. And we said, well, you got to have value, right? And by having standard operating procedures, you build value to a potential buyer, right? And he just couldn't get it out of he couldn't figure out how to do it. And so we developed this thing that I'm giving to you folks if you want it. But what we did first is Dave got an airplane, flew there, and the first day one, Dave didn't want to tour the facility. He just said, meet me in the parking lot. Okay, the owner. And he pulled out his phone and started recording right then. Okay, show me how do I disarm the alarm? How do
Yeah,
I unlock the door? All right, when I walk from the first employee and I walk in, where do I go from the time I open the door? Do I go to the cash drawer first? Okay, if I do that, where do I get money from? And all of these steps became standard operating procedures, right? And so first he had a video library, and then his name is Dan. He won't mind if I tell you this. And then he just transcribed those and then turned them in to the standard operating procedures, this SOP architecture that I'm sharing with you folks. Okay. But that's where we got the idea of videotaping this for Dan. His business was called A Dog's Dream. And by the way, he just sold it and made a lot more money than I thought he was going to make on it. And he is now financially set. Right. But where that idea came from, Joe, is what you said, the videos that McDonald's has.
yeah, but that's brilliant. You've told me that story. I love it because not everybody could write down an SOP, but they can videotape anything, right?
That's right. And some
But
people learn differently. Not only do I think about your employees or something, think about your employees, or if you want to bring on an assistant to help you. Some people are good at reading manuals. Some people would rather just watch a video of it,
yes, yes.
right? So I would have both if you can. And these are dynamic. These are going to change over time.
I honestly, the most valuable SOP that I think we have is onboarding a client.
Yes, so important. So important. The next thing
They're
I would
all
do for someone like you
important.
folks, though, another thing I would consider, Joe, for your clients is how do you deal with client feedback? Now I'm using the word feedback intentionally, right? But it might be a complaint, right? Or it might be a question. How do you respond to those? Those would be really important as well. Because sometimes when when our team members don't know how to deal with a client complaint, they hide it, they bury it, they don't tell anyone about it.
Okay.
And really, that's the best thing that we can do, is to deal with those complaints, because you can turn them into rock star, very loyal clients.
Oh yeah. When I was in insurance, they said the complaints are the opportunity.
That's absolutely right.
People that complain, that's the opportunity to do
I've
something.
got a video that I did. I was on a TV show here not so long ago, and I encouraged the viewers to seek out complaints. And if I can find it very quickly, maybe I can just show it for everyone, because it's pretty powerful. Because I think, Joe, you've probably seen this. A lot of people will run away from complaints, when what they ought to be doing is, like you said, you embrace them. These are the opportunities to learn and to grow your business. And just give me 30 seconds here. And I think we just shared it with our social media tribe.
Before I
in the
forget,
last
I have a
4 weeks.
question too after
Yeah,
that.
go ahead. Go ahead. You have a question?
I'm thinking like because people might think, oh, I have to get to this point in my business before I need this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now I know what worked for me,
Uh-huh.
but when do you actually start incorporating SOPs?
The ideal is before you open your doors of your business, before you take on your new client, your first client. You know, so it's like the Chinese or Japanese proverb that says, "When's the best time to plant a tree?" Have you heard this
Yesterday.
before? Yesterday. When's the second best time to plant a tree?
Now.
Now,
Yeah.
right? So yes, you should start. The sooner you start them, the sooner things are standardized in the organization. This is why that Novati company that I spoke about on here earlier, this is why they were able to grow so quickly, is that they started their standard operating procedures right out of the gate,
You
beginning with the
know,
end in mind.
as an
But don't get hung
accountant,
up on it. Oh, I've been around for 5 years and I've never done them, so I'm not going to do them. That's not the right approach either.
as an accountant, Larry,
Hmm.
I'm realizing I'm like, I started with the chart of accounts.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. I'm like,
Yeah.
all these accountants, they let their clients create the chart of accounts. So I
Yeah.
said, I'm gonna have my own chart of accounts.
Well, here's the thing that you need to remember. Many industries have what's called a uniform system of accounts for that industry. And so the chart of accounts is already set up by whatever the governing body is for that industry. So I'm going to share something here if I can. And I don't know how to restart this, so we're just going to try it. Whoops, I want to share sound, optimize, share. Failures and from our flaws and from our weaknesses. Let's see if I redo this, will it automatically? Oh, please don't tell me I just lost it. Nope, here we go. I give tons of tips to business owners and entrepreneurs all the time, and although this is probably the most powerful tip, it's the one that I think scares entrepreneurs the most, and that is that we have to actively listen to our customers and our clients and intentionally seek out feedback from our whiners, complainers, and even our haters out there. When we do this and we kind of embrace this learning mindset, and when we set up systems in our organizations to actively learn and listen, then and learn from our failures and from our flaws and from our weaknesses, it presents an opportunity for us to improve our product and build loyalty among those people that were once haters. Now, we got to weed out the nonsense from the trolls that are out there. However, I think that when we do this, though, then it creates an environment where we're constantly improving and it allows us to start with a minimum viable product and then grow.
All right, Larry.
Okay. Does that make sense, Joe? I think that spoke to...
Oh my God. So that video, that's what I'm doing here. You know, I'm back in the US. I'm actually meeting with clients face to face, Larry. You know what that's like?
It can be scary if you've not done it before, but if you go in,
Oh no, but there's no substitute. It's
that's right.
you know, we've all gotten used to meeting people on video, but now
Mhm.
I'm here and I'm actually talking to my clients and I'm hearing them.
Mhm.
And what they're telling me, and I'm gonna tell who's here on my team. Bell. Uh they're telling me that they're like getting confused because they have different people work, and I realized, I said, well, Grace does payroll, Chris does entities. It's not like you have all different people on, like, we're a team.
Yeah.
But the clients haven't, they don't understand that.
So I would encourage you to develop a single point of contact, a primary point of contact with each of your clients,
Right.
and it might be different for those. And whoever is the overall manager overseeing the entire operations, you just reach out from time to time and say, hey, as a reminder, Bell is your primary point of contact, or Luce is your primary point of contact, you know, with the organization. So
Yeah.
it
But the
varies.
point is, like what you just said, I'm over here actually, I wouldn't
Seeking it
know
out.
that.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
And I'm like, I'm
seeking
so
out
glad
feedback.
you talk, because if I met with 4 clients, 2 of them told me the same thing.
There you go.
That
Yeah.
means it's probably, yeah.
Yeah. So Randolph says, asks Bell, hey, kindly give us some examples of standard operating procedures as a bookkeeper. I'm not a bookkeeper, but I own and run businesses and have for a long time. And I'm better at the accounting and bookkeeping arena than most people. But I would say everything from how do you do a bank reconciliation to how do you post your chart of accounts. Joe, do you want to give a couple of examples for standard operating procedures for a bookkeeper?
Yeah, so bookkeeping, accounting, it's simple. You start with the chart of accounts. Okay, then we do what we call a vendor mapping.
Yeah, there you go.
We identify what accounts are they doing business in. Okay, and this is really, this is the client procedures. Okay, this has nothing to do with the accounting business, right, Larry?
Yes, that's right.
They're two. So this is how do we actually do the bookkeeping? And it starts with the chart of accounts. It's pretty simple. And like Larry said, you know, industries, like if you're in a restaurant industry, it's your chart of accounts is going to be different than a construction company, right? But we start with a general business chart of accounts and then we can adapt it, right?
Mhm.
It's not, so if you're thinking like, you know, a lot of people overthink, right? Oh, where am I going to start? You start right with the basic chart of accounts. And then, like you said, Larry, you got to have a bank rec.
Yeah.
You do the bank rec. We need the information. So if you can't do that for your clients and you're not doing it for yourself, you're in the wrong business.
So I just opened up, so I've got access to our Google Drive for our businesses, right? And so I went to standard operating procedures for our junior bookkeepers. So document management, handling incoming and outgoing financial documents, and proper filing, digital and physical, of all financial documents. That's number one. Number two is transaction recording. So this is where Joe's talking about in your chart of accounts. Entry of all financial transactions into the appropriate accounting software. Second part of that is procedures for checking and accuracy of all transaction entries. Number three is bank reconciliations. I hope everyone knows what those are. Right, that's the monthly reconciliation of your bank accounts to ensure that the ledger and bank statements match. Four is accounts receivable. There's got to be an SOP on how you're handling accounts receivable. You know, some folks do never let their accounts receivable go beyond 30 days. And I've seen that when there's not standard operating procedures in collecting of your accounts receivable, it turns into 90 and 120 days. And, you know, if it gets beyond 120 days, the likelihood that you're ever going to collect on your accounts receivable drops dramatically. So there should be SOPs around your management of your accounts receivables. And the same thing with payables. You want to maintain good SOPs around that. You know, some organizations want to hold off as long as possible to pay their invoices because they want to preserve the cash. But if you're in a good cash position, some vendors will pay you or give you a discount if you're early pay, if you pay quickly. And so you want to have a standard operating procedure around that. Expense management, payroll administration, tax filing and reporting, your monthly P&Ls and financial reporting, compliance and internal codes, data security and privacy. That's an important thing, particularly anyone who's doing business in the United States. There's been a lot of changes in those laws in the last couple of years. So Randolph, I hope that that's a pretty good list. And I would imagine, I've not done it, but I would imagine you could probably go to Google and just say, hey, what are the standard operating procedures that are best suited for bookkeeping? Joe, anything you want to add on to that?
Yeah, they can just come to me.
Go to Jumpstart.
Yeah, go to Jumpstart and I'll be glad to show you because it's a work in progress and it's endless, Larry. You know, it's
Yeah.
endless, right?
Yeah.
But you start with the basics, like Larry said, because all the stuff that you're doing for your clients, you should be doing for yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
so you want to do it for yourself and then, you know, vice versa. What I do with my clients is I say, what would I do if I were in their position?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How
Yeah.
are they running are they looking at their bank account? Are they looking at their receivables?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so
Hey, go ahead,
go
Joe.
ahead.
Like I say, here's a couple more questions. Thanks. Thank you. Says, how do SOPs help a growing business stay flexible while keeping standards high? That's a great question. So one way that it helps stay flexible is that you run a more efficient business. And with efficiency comes time. Okay. And so think about your life when you've not been flexible. In fact, you've gotten rigid and maybe you've lost your temper. It's usually because we lack time. We're overwhelmed. Okay. So that's number one. But number two, on that SOP architecture, if you want that free gift that I offered, you email me at larry@larrybroughton.com, write SOP free gift. There is a procedure in there that you go back and you visit your standard operating procedure from time to time. And you have in there the date that this SOP was written. And then as you get feedback from your team members or from your clients, you say, well, you know what? That worked at this point in time, but maybe we need to tweak it a little bit. Okay. So standard operating procedures are what's called a dynamic document. They change over time. Okay. So as a standard operating procedure might be effective when you're doing $100,000 in revenue, but when you start doing $1 million or you've got a different team, those standard operating procedures are going to have to change a little bit. So I hope that answers that question. Joe, is there anything you want to add on that before I go to the second question that she had asked?
No, you covered it.
Okay, the second question was, what's the best way to track if SOPs are making clients happier and more trusting? Well, Joe touched on one way, and that is to ask. I don't know where we became afraid to speak to our clients. Okay. So I'll just give a quick example. So I'm in the hotel industry. Many of you know that's my primary business. And what I do as a CEO now, we used to have about 24 hotels. So with those hotels, we've got thousands of employees, but we've also got hundreds of vendors, right? And we have thousands of corporate clients across, not thousands, a couple thousand, probably corporate clients, right? And so what I would do from time to time, like every Friday when I would come into my office, my assistant would already have on my desk, here are top 10 guests you need to call, not top 10, but here are 10 random guests you need to call today. All right. Here are 10 vendors that you should call. And then alternating weeks, it was like 10 clients, like corporate clients. And I would just call them out of the blue. Hey, Joe, this is Larry from Broughton Hotels. Thanks so much for choosing us to put your corporate guest here. How are things going with us? Are you getting information from us in a timely fashion? And you just ask the questions. Now, you can do this electronically. Most of you have probably stayed at a hotel before, and after you checked out, you probably got a guest satisfaction survey, right? Or maybe you've shopped somewhere and you've received one electronically, or you've ordered something online and they send you a survey. You can do those as well. But like that video that I had shown you where I was on MSNBC, a TV show here, I think that we should actively solicit feedback. When's the last time a business owner or somebody asked you specifically, Joe, hey, how was that service that we just provided you? My experience is when someone calls and actually asks, they're blown away. And it increases trust and satisfaction. So I hope that answers your questions. If not, just ask. You can either come on video or put it in the chat again. Anything you want to add to
All
that, Joe?
right. Thank you, Larry and Joe.
You're welcome.
Do we
You're
have
welcome.
any more questions from our community?
Me, I
And
just
so,
want to add, Belle and everybody, Larry and Joe. So just to give you an idea, I've been to, already that I've been part of Bedrock way back January 2022. So Bedrock is the one with a good SOP from the onboarding up to client. That's why we're here to help you if you really want to start your agency. I think Joe, and I believe Joe can give all the SOPs of Bedrock. Yeah, I've been to different accounting firm, but only Bedrock beats the SOP. Again, from the interview, from emails, from the calendar, from the training, up to the onboarding to the people, and what are the deliverables. So, and of course, the culture. I'm not biased. I resigned because too much SOP. That's it. But I believe there's a reason for everything. I resigned because there's too much SOP. I cannot handle the SOP. That's it. But we're here. That's the good thing. We're here with Larry and everybody. Joe is laughing. But
Well,
again,
no, it's true on so many levels because they say everything happens for a reason. And I respected you when you resigned. I said, it takes, because a lot of people would have just milked it, but we had you pegged. We said something's up, and the truth was, yeah, look, we don't have to get into details, but it was only a month. And if we didn't have, because we didn't have all of those SOPs when we first started, right, Larry?
Yeah, that's
We
right.
didn't have any. And Larry helped us institute the whole, SOP thing. But like I said, I had actually started it without realizing it when I just created my own standard chart of accounts. But documenting everything, Larry, that's, especially if it was just me, which it was for a long time, I gotta, but that's why it was only me. Once I started adding people like Janine, we said, oh, we need some kind of checks and balances, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm looking at my email right now, and I only see 10 people who want this free gift. So I'm going to assume that the other 37 people that were on here, you've got all your systems in place, and you're going to grow your business without any help. And you're the lone wolf that, unlike everyone else, is going to succeed without help. Is that what I'm supposed to take from this?
I didn't.
I think they're gonna send the email after this.
Okay. Thank you, Belle.
Who's it? Larry at
Larry at LarryBroughton.com, and just in the subject line, just put SOP free gift. By the way, some of you have been very kind and written very nice messages in here. Thank you. You don't have to do that. I appreciate that you did it. Thank you, Belle. um, but yeah, I'll be glad. I'll get these out to you as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see if we have any other questions.
I have one more sharing. This is based on my experience, and I don't want you to experience what I have experienced. That's why we're here. The community will give you tips and all our real experience. So I've been through a lot of clients, and some of the clients are not the ideal client. So the word for me is the manage your expectation. I've learned it one of the webinar. So if you're not agree with the salary, with the time zone, with the deliverables, you can say no. I think that's my stand. So if the client will say, I'm okay with 4 hours and it's okay, you don't have time tracker, I'll go with that. It's non-negotiable. So if it is if it's say EST time, I will say yeah. I will say no and give it to the other people, and that's the time we can collaborate and give referrals. So take it from me. I've been there, done that. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thank you so much, Larry, Joe, and Coach Yan Yan for sharing your input. And I know that we still have a lot of questions, burning questions from our community. And since we don't have that much time anymore, you can address them on our GC. All right. That is what our GC is for. We will be there to assist you guys. And also you can post your questions doon sa community natin. So I would encourage you guys to really share your questions, whatever you have in mind doon sa community natin, because that is what this community is all about. It's all about helping you, helping each other. Ayan. And feel free to also share your takeaway. For me, my takeaway is Larry shared about the benefit of why it's important to have SOP, and he shared that change happens when the cost of the status quo is greater than the risk of change. Ayan. So how do I relate this with having an SOP? Siguro you are in a point of your career wherein it's hard for you to start building SOP because you're overwhelmed with the current task at hand. But you cannot afford to be in a status quo when you know what it's gonna cost you in the long run. So I would encourage you guys to take the risk and take the challenge. And as what Larry said, do your assignment. Create at least one SOP, and you can send it on our GC or on our community by posting it. Ayan. So thank you so much once again, Larry. And just some few announcements before we end our our workshop for today rather. So our grand launch of the Jumpstart community, as what Larry stressed earlier today, it's fast approaching. We are 1 month away from the highly anticipated grand launch of the Jumpstart community. So again, that's May rather, ano ba yan? May 18 and 19. That's a Saturday and Sunday. So that's a 2-day event. And we have different sets of speakers for each day. So I would suggest that you don't miss either of those days para you get to have the full experience. And then our early bird is still up until April 30. So make sure that you check out our early bird rates until April 30, and you'll also get 500 pesos discount voucher to any free Bedrock certification course. Maybe you already took the 13-week and the 5-week and the payroll, but we have more to come. Okay, so we have new courses that will be coming in the next few months that you can apply your discount voucher. And also, good news, guys, you can also become an event ambassador. So this is open for everyone. So if you want to join the event, but at the same time, you also want to refer someone and earn a referral bonus, we have opened our event ambassador program. So just approach any of the Bedrock team and we will help you out. And also, we would like to encourage that the event this coming May 18 and 19 is not only for empowerment, but this is also for recreation because we are doing the event in a leisure hotel in Whitewoods Convention. So good news for you guys because we have made a special arrangement. So instead of paying like 5 to 7,000 just for an overnight stay, we have managed to make it only 1,000. 1,000 lang guys for your room accommodation overnight. And if you wanted to include breakfast, then that makes it 1,250 pesos only. So make sure that you grab that opportunity, guys, so you can access the amenities. You can do night swimming. So actually, I'm looking forward for the pool and the experience. So not only the learning, but just really resting and, taking this time for yourself to re-energize. And malay mo si Coach yan magpo-pool din, magna-night pool. So you can talk about your business over a night in the pool area. Ayan. So that's also one thing that I'm looking forward to this event is just networking after the actual event. And then we also have surprise gift for all attendees. So for those of you who are already part of this community, I tell you guys, you don't want to miss out this big surprise gift that we have exclusively for those who are attending. So make sure that you don't miss out this event. And we want to tell you that as much as we wanted to cater the 300 of you in the community, actually almost 400, we're only catering 80 to 100 attendees. So we already have ticket purchases and we are looking forward for a lot of purchases. So make sure that you grab your ticket as early as now so that you don't run out of seat. Ayan. So, paki-plug na lang ng link natin diyan, guys, Red Rock team. So, if you are ready to purchase your ticket at an early bird rate, we will put the link in our chat box. So, make sure that you get your ticket now. You can pay via GCash. We also have debit or credit card available for the payment option and as well as PayPal. Ayan. So, if you have any questions, feel free to, chat me on Facebook. I am very much active on Facebook. And yes, that's it for our announcement. So do we have any questions before we take our photo for today? Ayan. So I think we don't have any more questions. So I would like to ask Eileen to take a photo of our webinar for today as a remembrance.
Hello, everyone. Belle, sorry, nakasipi ako.
Okay, I'll be the one na lang. Just smile, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Coach Yan.
1, 2, 3. One more. Smile. Say jump start. 1, 2, 3.
Jumpstart.
Yay, thank you. See you soon.
Okay, thank you, Larry.
See you in a month. Oh, God bless you guys.
Guys,
Safe
Yeah.
travel, everyone.
We're not yet
See ya.
done, so let's always end this with the word of prayer.
Yeah, Bill. wants to
Yeah,
be-
so let's all bow down our heads and let's pray. Father, thank you for a productive and wonderful workshop here in the Jumpstart community. Thank you, Lord, that we learned a new thing, God, from Larry Broughton about how to build an effective SOP for our businesses. And I just pray, Lord, that each one of us here will not only learn, Lord God, but we will put into action what we have learned, oh God. And Lord, thank you, God, that you will give us a wonderful weekend, Lord. And even Father, thank you for providing, Lord, our needs, Lord, for our ticket for the Jumpstart Grand Lunch, oh God. Lord, we bless your name, Lord. We love you. In Jesus' name, amen and amen. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend with your family and friends, and we'll see you next Saturday for our last workshop before the event. Bye.
Hold on.